Hello, friends. My name is Miss Faith, and I teach in the yellow classroom. I miss you all so much, but I'm so excited to bring today's Bible story. Today we're going to learn about a woman named Ruth and how she helped her friend Naomi. Can you think of someone that you love so much that you would do nice things for them so that they could feel good? Can you think of somebody? Yes. Well, we can show our love for others by helping them when they need it. This is called serving. Our story today is about a young woman who loves someone so much that she left everything, her family, her friends, her home. She left everything in order to help her friend. This woman's name is Ruth, and this is her story. Ruth and Oprah were young women from the land of Moab. They both married strangers who were living in their country. These strangers were brothers from another land called Israel. They had to move to Moab because there was a severe drought in Israel, so there was no food in Israel. The boys' names were Mahlon and Chilion, and their parents were Elimelech and Naomi. Sad things happened to this family while they lived in Moab. Sad things. First, the father, Elimelech, he died. 10 years later, Mahlon and Chilion died. They left 3 women, Naomi, Ruth, and Oprah, all alone. Naomi was especially sad because she lost her husband and she lost her 2 sons. Very sad. She was also sad because she was living in Moab, which really wasn't her home. Remember, she had to move to Moab because Israel was having a drought. So she really wanted to go back to her home. She wanted to go back to Israel. Ruth and Oprah didn't want her to go alone. Why couldn't she go alone? It was a journey of several days through some very, very rough country where an old woman would have a difficult time surviving. Ruth and Oprah agreed that they would go with her so she wouldn't be by herself. Naomi tried to talk the women out of it, but they went anyway. After some time, Oprah decided the trip was too difficult, and she really didn't want to leave her home, Moab, so she went back to Moab. Ruth, however, would not turn back. She loved Naomi, and she wanted to take care of her, to help her. She knew Naomi would need her help, and so she continued on to Israel, even though that meant leaving her home and her family and friends behind. Even though Ruth was sad to leave everything, she knew behind her, she knew she could trust God to take care of them. And that's exactly what God did. He took care of them. Just like Ruth trusted God when things were hard, we can trust God when hard things happen. We can trust Him no matter what. When they finally made it to Israel, they had to find food to eat. And there was a law in Israel that God had said many years before. It said that during a harvest, when the food is gathered, if any is dropped, it should not be picked up. So if you drop food while you're gathering it, can't pick it up. That was God's law. Why did He make that law? That's a good question. God wanted the poor to have food to eat, so the poor could come and get the food off the ground so that they would have food to eat. Naomi told Ruth about the law, and so they started looking for a field that they could gather food. She came to a field where the landowner had heard about her and how she loved and served her mother-in-law. by coming with her back to Israel, even though it was a difficult journey, and how she cared and loved for Naomi. He was kind to her and had his workers drop food on purpose so that Naomi and Ruth would have plenty to eat. The landowner's name was Boaz, and after some time he took Ruth to be his wife. And together, Boaz and Ruth took care of Naomi. Just as Ruth showed God's love by serving her and putting her first, we can show God's love by putting others first. And that, boys and girls, is the story about Ruth and Naomi. I have some questions for you that maybe you and your family can talk about later today, maybe at snack time or lunchtime. This is such a good story, and it needs to be talked about a little bit. All right, my first question for you. Was Ruth a good friend to Naomi? Was Ruth a good friend to Naomi? And if she was, I want you to think about, how do we know that? How do we know that she was a good friend? And then after that, I want you to think about how you can be a good friend, how you can love God by loving and helping others. All right, my next question, something to talk about, is did God take care of Naomi and Ruth? Did he take care of them? Yes, the answer is absolutely yes, he took care of them. You and your family can talk about how God took care of Naomi and Ruth. And boys and girls, I've had so much fun sharing today's Bible story with you, and I hope that you enjoy it too. And I pray that the Lord will teach you more today how to care for others and how to trust Him no matter what.